Hello guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm the project manager. Today, here is a briefing on Agile for AIROST. It's a structured process for us to develop solutions. It's introduced and written by our president, Austin, and it's slightly modified by me. What is Agile? It's a process by which a team divide and conquer major project goals to deliver outcome iteratively in each sprint, which is cycle, and to receive immediate feedback from project stakeholders. In this case, it's feedbacks and DF automation. It's not applicable to competition teams. However, if the team receives sponsorship, then the sponsor will become the project stakeholders. How to Agile? A typical Agile life cycle consists of backlog, plan, sprint, review, and retrospective. So now let's have a look at backlog. We break down project goals into tasks to be completed. Preferably use OKR model, which is what I suggest. But in the actual case, you can use whatever model you like to divide and conquer after the discussion with your team. After that, you have to update the backlog regularly during each sprint. So now let's have a look. This is a typical backlog. You can assign the task here, and you can assign the owner for the respective task. And then you can track the status, and here's a sprint. So I will explain more about the sprint later, and you can attach the outcome here and maybe some notes. Let's talk about sprint. So it's a time period to complete tasks. Project team as a collective will assign tasks within a sprint period and assign an owner for each task. So in this case, it's a template. So we can see January is the research phase. So brainstorming is prioritized over actual outcome. So you can see it here. In January, weekly sprint is used because we focus on brainstorming. After that, bi-weekly sprint is used. So in February, we will focus on developing the actual product or solutions. So that's the reason why we extend the duration for each sprint from weekly to bi-weekly, so you can have more time to develop your solutions. For more info, you can refer to here, and also OKR. During sprint, you have to execute planned tasks, attend stand-up meetings where everyone from the project team share what was done, what to do, impediments or blockers. So here's the example. So in this case, here is a table, and you can type your name here. So here's your name, and you can share what is done, what to do, and the current impediments. The stand-up meeting ethic. The sum sheet should be filled before the meeting. The sum should not exceed 30 minutes to keep it brief and precise, and speak whenever it's your turn. Short sharing for best practices or blockers can be done after all members have updated about their progress. So it's basically like this. At the very first of the stand-up meeting, everybody can briefly share their current status. If there is any impediments that need further discussion, we can proceed with that after all the members have shared their status. Consistent presence as some is expected. Any actions should be discussed with the project lead, which is your team lead, in advance, and is considered a rare exception. But however, it's just for a guideline. So in the actual case, it's quite flexible, and actually I'm okay with that, as long as you can make sure that development progress is smooth. So yeah, keep it flexible. It's to check what task has been completed and receive feedback from stakeholders, which are the companies, and project manager on task completion and its quality. The last one is sprint retrospective. It's a review on agile processes and workload, and we can suggest changes to be made for next sprint. Project lead suggests the improvements in tools and processes, and I will evaluate how well the agile has worked for the team, and if it's very good, and I can also introduce the relevant changes to the other teams. Here's a project life cycle. So the first one is research phase, which is mainly focused on brainstorming. The goal is to identify potential major blockers, develop project backlog, and to develop OKR model. In this case, we will require frequent stand-up meeting hosted by project lead and members, but it's without me. And in this case, we will expect weekly sprint and weekly meeting. So now let's have a look at here. So from here you can see these four labels are red. It's because they are the research phase, which are the weekly sprint. In this case, we focus on brainstorming. After that, during the development phase, it becomes bi-weekly. Let's talk about the second phase. Department lead review project feasibility. If the project is not feasible, we return to research phase to adjust the scope. So yeah, I believe it's a very important process, because there might be some mismatch in expectation during our negotiation with the companies. So the research is very important for us to determine the actual feasibility of each project, and we can adjust the scope so we can finish it within the required duration, and even and if necessary, we can even adjust the project duration according to our research. So maybe in the proposal, we can suggest the necessary change in terms of scope and duration to see whether the companies can accept it or not. The next one is development phase. The goal is to develop minimum viable products within each sprint. Bi-weekly stand-up meeting and sprint. So from here we can see, in this case it's bi-weekly, but it's totally understandable that we have final examination at the end of January, so you can freely adjust it. So for example, you can delete, you can just label it. You can just label it. So in this case, we got another 2 extra weekly sprints. Like this. So it's flexible, so keep it flexible. We don't want to force you to be distracted with the extracurricular during the final examination. So yeah, you can simply delete it like this. So it depends on your choice after the discussion with your team. So yeah, so the whole project execution is very flexible. And the last one is a project release. You have to showcase the product functionality to me and also the project stakeholders, and return to development after sign off by the project stakeholders. Who is involved? Of course, me, and also the technical department lead, Ome, Lee Hong, and also Yojet, corresponding to AI machine learning, website application, and also IoT department, ROS and IoT department. So we can provide advice and also some management, but we don't involve in the actual development. Who are important are the project lead, which is the team lead, and also project members. So they are the leader to the project team and are trained to execute Agile Scrum in the team. They maintain the Agile practice in their project team and ensure important tasks and so on and so forth. So to keep it concise, I just skip it. If you're interested, you can refer to the slide later on. So the project members, they are the main contributors for the projects. They do develop backlog with the team according to project goals, plan their tasks for each sprint facilitated by the team lead, execute planned tasks within each sprint, and update their task completion timely through standard meeting. So that's pretty much. Here is a task for the project lead. So in this case, the first one is to create project backlogs and some sheets for your team. So in this case, you can just directly duplicate the template and modify it. The second is to determine the sprint cycle. As I mentioned before this, because some of you might not be available in these 2 weeks or in the final weeks, so you have to discuss about it. And third one, assign tasks to each member after the discussion and prepare project proposal. There is no specific requirement for proposal, but normally it follows the following format: introduction, project background, problem statement, project scope. Project scope is quite important, I have to emphasize, because without it, the project outcome will be very vague. It's very hard for us to determine whether the project is completed or not. So we have to ensure what is within our scope and what is out of our scope. Methodology, which is how we can achieve our goals. Expected deliverable, intellectual property and asset handover. This one is regarding your right to reuse the code and solutions developed by you in the future for any other purpose or usage. And Gantt chart and conclusion. Alright, so that's pretty much of the briefing today. Thank you for your time.